We're going to draw today's presentation from Lauren Artress's Walking a Sacred Path. And I passed this book around last week, I think it was, but the book is about the labyrinth, the mythology associated with the labyrinth and her experience with it. And I picked it up. And as I was reading it, the whole concept of the labyrinth excited me. I wanted to set something up like this with the organization I was with, but I never got the opportunity. Anyway, but she has some interesting things to say. And one of them is that spiritual hunger has three facets. The first being we need healing, or maybe I should say we desire healing. The second is that we long to be co-creators with the divine. And the last is that we seek self-knowledge. And the idea of desiring healing is fairly common. It's the one thing that drives people to attend church, any church, because they become lost. And what causes them to become lost? Disparity within themselves. They feel isolated. They feel separate. And when they feel separate within themselves, that technical term is dissociation. When you feel like you're outside looking in. And a lot of times we feel like that just watching the news or overhearing conversations, particularly in this time of transition. Because that's what the country is going through. The country is going through a time of transition. We're moving from one generation into the next. Although people would like to say we're moving from the old guard into the new guard. Doesn't make a difference how you choose to phrase it, but we're all going through a transition, personal transitions, community transitions, national transitions, global transitions. But here's the thing. This is the question. Do you wish to be a co-creator with the divine? And if so, what path do you feel would be best suited for yourself? I'll give you a moment to think about this, and then I will ask you to voice your thoughts about it. Because for many of us, the whole idea of being co-creators, we hear the term a lot, but we don't necessarily understand the term with that. Co-creators. Well, wait a second. I'm not in control of my life. God is in control of my life. The divine is in control of my life. I'm along for the ride. Well, now, so are you along for the ride, Sharon?
Well, at first I thought I didn't really understand what that meant. And then when you said what you just said a second ago, I thought maybe, the God helps those who helps themselves. So you're kind of working together on your path. An obstacle appears and you have to decide what to do about it or how to deal with it or to ignore it or whatever you decide. So I guess that's co-creating. I don't know if it's co-creating. I don't know if it's co-creating.
Well, let's think about co-creating. Co is cooperation. So you're cooperating with the divine, and the divine is cooperating with you. So you've got this idea in your head, and this idea keeps coming back over and over again. It's been in our head for several months, several years. Take the whole idea of retirement. Okay. We plan our retirement in our head. Okay. And then the divine provides an opportunity. Okay. You provided the inspiration, divine provided the opportunity. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to go through with it. But we know eventually there comes a time to where it's time to retire. Or rather, I should say, it's regardless of what you're doing, it's time to step back, to let go. It's time to let go. And when you finally start thinking about, well, you know, maybe I could do this. I wonder. And then all of a sudden, this is an opportunity. You see how that works? A simpler explanation would be the principle of attraction. You do your part, the divine does its part, and we meet somewhere in the middle, or we just continue to work remotely with each other. Doesn't make a difference. But the whole idea is that, wow, the opportunity shows up. Okay, so let's delve into this. Let's move into this opportunity. Let's take advantage of this opportunity. And then you start thinking, oh, well, let me see, I have possibilities. And then all of a sudden, the divine presents different opportunities for you. So now the divine is inspiring you to act. You see how that role flops back and forth? You see, that's being co-creators. You share in everything that's happening. Does that help you out?
It does.
Good. And how about you, Beth?
Oh, I know, I'm a co-creator.
Oh, you know, okay.
I start to feel it. I mean, it's like, we're working on this together, you know? So I co-create this experience that is me in this incarnation.
And you understand that co-creation, sometimes you're inspiring the divine, sometimes the divine is inspiring you. Sometimes you act, sometimes the divine acts. It's not really a give and take, it's hand in hand.
In my meditations recently, part of, let's just use mantra because I'm lacking on the word. When I asked for assistance from my guides, it's been help me to remember, not recall something, but to reconnect. Put my arm back in the socket. Put my arm back in the socket of the divine. Put my leg back in the socket. Help me to remember with the divine.
Good. Good. So she goes on to tell us that many of us carry psychological and spiritual burdens from our past that hinders our present. When we are carrying the burdens of our past, our relationships suffer and our creativity is limited. The obvious one is that, our relationships suffer. We got this, all this stress, we snap, we don't want to be around people, we don't want to deal with people, just, ooh, people, icky, yeah, get away. But it never occurs to us how it affects our creativity. Has that ever occurred to you, Sharon?
Could you repeat that again? I didn't get all that.
How our psychological and spiritual burdens, let's just call it psychological and emotional burdens,
Okay.
hinders or limits our creativity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you explain that?
Well,
Just from your perspective.
oh yeah,
Don't
I mean,
convince anybody, just your perspective.
if you're going through an emotional burden, you're probably pretty self-absorbed because you're going through this burden. And I don't know how because creativity implies external, to me, implies external. So it's real hard to be creative externally when you're in all of this up here, when you're going through all of this. So that makes total sense to me. I think when our minds are clear, well, in my case anyway, or my mind is free enough to get an idea that I want to act on that idea, be whatever that might be. You're much more willing to jump into that experience then than you are when you're going through some sort of crisis, emotional or whatever. You're not able to, for me, this is just my personal feeling. Some people thrive under the threat. They have some people, they're in the midst of whatever chaos and they get this brilliant idea. Good for them. That's exciting. That has not been my experience, however. Not really always so much, no. Maybe sometimes I've, had a spark of, I won't call it genius, but a spark of something in the midst of a crisis where, oh, do this, do that. And that does happen sometimes, but I don't know. It's more like the other way.
Well, think about this. You ever feel like you're backed up between a rock and a hard spot and you feel as though you have no choice?
Yes. A lot. A lot.
That is the burden limiting your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got, not only do you have blinders on, but they're turned inwards.
Mm-hmm.
Hyper focused. And because of that hyper focusing on whatever is happening to you, you fail to see or to recognize any potential opportunities that may be presented. It's natural for us to be like that because we're trained like that. Oh crap! And what is the mantra, the cultural mantra? You got yourself into it, you damn well better get yourself out of it. So our blinders have now turned inward because we have to do this ourselves. We can't look for assistance. We can't ask for assistance. We can't, wait a second, we can't. We're taught to limit ourselves. Consider that one. We are taught to limit ourselves. Not taught that if you require assistance, please ask, because I'm not always aware enough to know when you need it. We're not taught to ask for assistance. We're taught to pull yourself up by your own bootstrings. I've got my own crap I have to deal with. Well, what's the cliche? Burden shared. I don't know the rest of it. That's as far as they got in the Doctor Who episode.
A burden shared is a burden halved,
Yeah, something
I
like
think.
that.
or lessened.
Something like that. Yeah, it's either way, it's lesson. It's lesson. If we help each other out, then these emotional and psychological burdens, physical burdens that we experience are not as limiting as they are when we have to figure it all out ourselves. What are your thoughts, Beth?
Oh, I agree. It's in my head. But I'm also thinking about how, for me, even some mundane things, like, I was pretty creative this past couple of weeks, of digging around in the yard. I'm trying to figure out a more effective way using sprinkler hoses to water my plants, so the water isn't going over into the neighbor's yard, or it's not going into the grass. It's focused on the plants and the borders. So I bought some hooks, got fence hooks. Picked the sprinkler up, turned it upside down, and laid it across these hooks. And when I got to my garage, it's like, oh boy, did I get creative there. So I don't have a mechanical cell or an engineering cell. But man, I managed to rig up something and it's working. It's working until something else pops up.
There you go.
Ooh, I could try this instead.
There you go.
That's for next year.
Yeah. So here's another one that we are conditioned not to do. Crying for yourself can heal deep wounds. Just letting those tears roll. I think the term can be a catharsis, the beginning of change, a release. But what is it that this society teaches us? Suck it up, damn it. Stiff upper lip. Exactly. And what does that accomplish?
Ulcers.
Oh, you've got this huge bag full of baggage. Baggage. And I don't know where you're at on your spiritual path, but I can tell you that the further along you get, the more you explore yourself in everything, the more you begin to become aware and understand, and sometimes, be disgusted or compassionate or empathetic. That's the term I'm looking for. The more you become empathetic, the closer to the surface your emotions are. And that is a guide to the next part of your journey. If you think you're climbing a ladder or going into some higher frequency, however you want to do it, that it will be part of it. And you have a choice. You can suppress it. No, get down. Or you can allow it to surface of its own accord. So you have choice, you have opportunity. And with that can be release or more baggage for our baggage cleaning Sunday. So, what are your thoughts about that, Beth?
No, I know I can cry at the top of drop a hat or something eyes just well up. Oh my, because I'm feeling something. I'm feeling something this person is experiencing. It doesn't have to be a person. It's like, oh, this poor lost animal. Um, whereas in my earlier life, growing up, I tamp it down, stoicism. Don't don't let anybody see that you're hurt. Don't let anybody see your pain. Don't let anybody see that you feel weak. Just don't. Just I'm so glad I don't do that anymore.
Good, good. What are your thoughts, Sharon?
Yeah, I've had a lot of those episodes in the last last couple years where I just crumble. I can't do it anymore. I can't hold it in anymore. It just happens it happens a lot. So, and I feel bad. Well, I think it's perceived as being weak, of course. And but I just am at this point in my life where I just can't do it anymore. I just can't, and trying to, I guess part of it is is a depression, but, and then, you just kind of have to pull yourself back up because, you could just lay in the wallow all, for hours. You could just, but you can't, but you want to, but you can't. So you just have to, find a distraction or, get up and do something. Just do something. Because if you don't do something, you're gonna be mad at yourself that you let it get to you so much that you couldn't do anything. So, it's hard. But I mean, I'm looking forward personally. I'm looking forward to this release of just the stuff is behind. I'm really looking forward to the behind. I don't know what the front of that's going to be. Like I said, I'm definitely relieved about the losing the behind, relieving the behind. I'm ready for that. I'm sure I'm gonna, like you said, the whole grief thing, it's gonna happen, but I'm still looking forward to the behind and not and we'll see what happens in the front end. So, but yeah, this all kind of ties into that too, because I'm kind of going through a lot of that situation myself. So, and then, healing, this desire for healing. Well, yeah, I'm hoping that healing is going to come with all of this after the behind is behind us, behind me, behind us, that there can be something to look forward to. That's the big that's the big if. Is the burden even going to be greater? Who knows? I don't know. I hope not, but
Here's something to keep in mind.
okay.
Life is a burden.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, all of our regrets, all of that stuff it's a burden that we carry. And the thing about what she's got here, crying for yourself can heal deep wounds. Well, crying for yourself, or allowing those emotions to express themselves, will prevent all this need for deep healing, because it's no different. Becomes no different than a scratch. You allow your emotions to express themselves. You learn about these emotions that you are experiencing. You learn the story behind them. And the interesting thing is that those short bit bouts of crying for yourself, just the release and everything, as well as those long bouts, I won't say wallowing, because wallowing is a choice, but a release, now that's different. That's different. You feel lighter, you feel better, you feel energetic, you feel inventive. It's a release. And the more you allow these releases, small and large and in between, to occur, you know what happens? I know you wrote this down, so look at the last part of that, of those 3 facets. Look at the last part, and that last part reads that we seek self-knowledge. You begin to learn about yourself. The first 2 teach you about who you are. So, what are your thoughts, Beth?
I really don't have anything. It's just like, I enjoy this. Like, oh, I never thought of it that way, but that's so true.
All right. What are your thoughts, Sharon?
It makes a lot of sense.
Is it helpful?
It is helpful. Yeah, it is helpful. Very much. I think I will come back to this when I need to.
Well, that's what notes are for.
Yep, yep.
Oh, cool. Cool. I will leave you with this. Forgiveness is frequently the bridge between psychological and spiritual and emotional healing. We can do the hard work of experiencing anger and admitting that we blame the people who have hurt us, but we must authentically give it all up before we can receive the gift of a hurtful experience that has hidden within it. The gift within those experiences. In other words, the message. The message. And I will say thank you for allowing me to share this with you.
Your mind constantly creates through imagination. When you depart this experience, your mind, your imagination will create the next through your beliefs and expectations. The many mansions spoken of by Christ are the creations of your inner life. Thus, cultivate yourself with care so that the mansion you enter reflects the truth of your belief. Religion, when unfettered by ambition, guides us in shaping the tools of life. Tools that bring fulfillment, progression, and harmony. We invite you to pause with us for a moment of reflection at the spiritual sanctum of light. You may find our entrance at firstchurchofprayer.com. Click on the door and remember your key. we gather Sunday mornings at 10 a.m.